Hi, and welcome to Don's Trans Am build. This is a 1976 4x5 4-speed Trans Am, which I'm turning into a 1980 Trans Am, Turbo Trans Am. This is week 2, and I'm just starting to get things going. And
what are you doing?
I am trying to get my banana open, but I cut my nails. So, what you do, get a weapon, clean your weapon, stab your banana, and open it. Folks, what I'm doing is I'm going to teach you a couple of little things on the hood. It took me about half an hour to get these bolts out because they're just seized right up. So what I'm going to teach you is, without a top and die set, you're going to have to do it the hard way. You fill in with some lube. I use WD-40. And start your bolt by hand. Tighten it up as tight as you can get it. Then grab your socket or wrench or whatever. Put it in. You might have to go back and forth a few times to get the threads cleaned out. Do that 3 or 4 times and you should be able to screw it in by hand. Your threads should be cleaned out. So I'll take the WD-40 again, spray it again. And that's how you clean out the threads. It'll need to be done again, over and over until it's all cleaned out. This way, I'm reusing this hood, so this way I'll be able to just put it back on without too much of an issue after I paint it and clean it and everything else. I'm going to explain to you now what I mean by a budget build. I know I wasn't very clear with the previous, but I'll go over what I'm going to do to this car. Okay, now that I got the hood moved out of the way, as you can tell from last week, I removed the frame, the motor, transmission, drive shaft, and most of the electrical. What I got here is just a straight body. Okay, got to do the same to this. Last week this was all fenders, hood, everything else. I pulled that off last week for the most part. I had a couple of seized bolts I had to grind off. Lucky I have power in this place, but that's why the video's late. I ran out of power. Maybe had to breaker. So, on with the show. Okay, this is a running car. It doesn't run great, but it does run. It pops, it farts, it blows fire out the carburetor. I'm going to have to fix this after I figure out what's going on with it. It could be the fuel distributor, just because it's cold, but it shouldn't do that when it's cold. Could be as bad as a bad cam. So I might have to tear the engine apart. As you can see, maybe not, the rear main is leaking on it now. So that's all got to be fixed. It needs a distributor for sure, because I had a fire there a couple of starts ago where it melted my distributor cap, and chances are that's why it's not, it's popping and farting and whining. I'll fire it up, and it's a bit noisy, but because when I loaded it up onto the ramp, I hit the header, so it's got a hole in it. So off we go. that isn't gonna work. It does run, but I think the tank is dry. I just used the last of it to get it into the garage. It has old fuel in it, so it doesn't surprise me that this isn't running properly.
That's for car.
But that'll be the last start. Well, just about start.
Louder.
Anyways, what I'm gonna start doing for the next week is tearing this down. To explain to you what I had planned for this car, a budget build. I'll explain it all. I said no extras, but I changed my mind. There will be one extra. So as I'm doing this car, I'm gonna pull it, engine, transmission out of the frame, redo the frame. I'm gonna get it sandblasted, painted, primed, painted, and then armor coated. Basically box lined. That'll help protect it for a long time to come. That will be the one extra I will do, seems how I am pulling the frame completely out of the car, same as I've done with this one. So after that's done, then I'm going to clean the bottom of this car, prime it, paint it, and armor it too. When I get a chance, I'll show you the undercarriage of this car. It is in absolutely perfect shape. There's no holes, there's a little tiny bit of surface rust, but other than that, it is a totally solid car, and to find that is just so rare. So for next week, hopefully I'll have the frame out of it, the engine, transmission out, then I'll be able to run the numbers on it once I get that done. What I mean by running the numbers is I got told it was a numbers matching car, and so far from what I've seen, everything's pretty much original, besides the carburetor, the headers, and a few odds and ends. Yeah, so I'll go from there. From what I've been told, this is a balanced and blueprinted engine. It doesn't have a lot of miles on it, a little bit, but it just sat forever. 20 years, I believe, is what he said. It sat just in the bush, and that's why it is so hard to get apart. So I think that should be just about it for this update. And if you need or want to ask me questions, leave a comment below. I hope you subscribe and like this video, and I'm going to get back to work. Thanks guys, see you next week. Okay guys, as you can tell, I'm very new to this. I've been wrenching for on and off for 30 years, but never with such few tools, and this is all hand tool, this whole car. So I'm trying to help people understand they actually can do this stuff with very minimal stuff. Looks like I have a big toolbox and everything else, but when they broke into my garage, they took all my torque wrenches, they took everything of value basically. I can't even compression test the engine to be able to tell what's wrong with it, because they took that too. This project is going to take a lot. It's a very ambitious project. I've done it before outside, I've done it before, like I said, I'm very fortunate to have this garage, but I always had the tools to be able to do it with. This is gonna take a lot. This one's been sitting outside for over 20 years, and it is all the bushings, everything from what I can tell on it is shot. The torsion bar bushings, inners, outers, uppers, lowers, tie rod ends, just about everything looks like it's done. Played out, like I said, it's all gonna have to come apart. When I'm doing a budget build, I will replace what needs to be replaced, but try and do it as cheap as possible. You wind people, can you give me a better deal? You talk to people. I know I'm going to run into a couple of problems with this disc rear end in this car, in the 80 Turbo. It's geared at a 308, and that is really high. For this car, it has the torque to be able to move it, but it'd be like starting out in second gear continuously. So it'll be hard on the clutch and everything else. So I'm trying to figure out if I should change the gear ratio in the car or change it over to a 5-speed transmission. Your comments are quite important to me, so please leave a comment if you have questions. Ask your questions. I'll do what I can to answer them. Am I a professional at this? No. I do have a little bit of training in diesel, but as you can tell, these aren't diesel. I can rip apart an engine, I can put it back together again, replace the pieces I need to replace. I can basically hone it out, clean it up, do all that. I usually send it out for that kind of thing, but I'm hoping with this one, the engine hasn't sat so long that I need to do it. It burns pretty clean, so I'm hopeful. Just with the backfiring, I'm kind of worried about that. As for the 76 here, it is actually quite a rare car. The more people I talk to about it, this is pretty much the only front end for this year. For about 3 years there, they changed all the front ends, so this is kind of a one-off. But being the last year, the 455 4-speed, it's quite rare to be able to get one, period. So that's why I'm going to this much work just to get this car done. On top of that, like I said, I'm doing this with just a very little budget, so it's going to take me a little bit extra time, but as I get along, I'll do more and more. But the armor coating and the priming and the sandblasting, I'm going to have to find. I'll do the priming and painting, the armor coating, but the sandblasting I might have to send it out, but we'll see if I can rent one or go that way with it. Any support I get, I'm always thankful. Your comments, I'm thankful. Your subscribes, I'm thankful. So this is Don. I'm signing off, and I'm going to start tearing some more of this car apart and seeing what else I need. The clutch will be replaced, of course. The brakes, all through, from the master cylinder right through the whole system. I'll probably even replace the brake lines because they don't look good either. On the 80 Turbo, they don't look too bad, but the master looks pretty much beat. I couldn't drive this one because the motor was shot, so I don't even know if it had brakes, but everything will be replaced for that too. The interior, won't be able to get to. The paint and body, I won't be able to get to. That's not part of the budget build as far as I'm concerned. Budget build is getting this car up, running, and safetied, and running like everything proper in it. The electrical fixed and all of that. I'll have to pull the doors off. I'm going to have to change the pedals, the console. I have to pull the interior out of both cars. So yeah, there's a lot of work left to do on it, but as you can tell, I'm motoring along pretty good actually. So this is only the second week in, July 10th, 11th I think it is. So I started on the 4th, and this is how far I got. These were 2 complete cars when I started there last week. I pulled off the fenders and before the hood and whatnot, like I did with this car. Before that, I started my first video. Like I said, I'm very new to this YouTube stuff, so be patient. I will get better, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again next week.